Welcome back, Rock Raiders. I'm your host, R.R. Slugger, and today we're looking at what I believe to be the last of the official Rock Raiders alternate builds. Yes, there are still more. It's been nearly 2 full years since I covered the Kabaya sets created for the Rock Raiders theme. Since then, I've been trying to track down source material for the builds we're going to construct today, but it hasn't been easy. Here's the scoop. As I discussed in my previous video on the topic, the Kabaya sets were released exclusively in Japan, packaged in either tearaway-style boxes or more traditional polybags. The boxes featured images of the combiner models and instructions on how to build them, printed on the inside of the box. I was able to piece these together in my original video even without having the boxes, as the part counts were low and relatively easy to figure out. In the time since then, Brock the archivist has meticulously scanned these boxes and uploaded them to archive.org. A big thank you to them for doing this, essentially allowing me to create this video today. As such, it was actually Brock who helped me out with this next thing. The polybag versions of these sets displayed alternate builds on the front of the bag. I included these in my video as well, as there were already several images floating around the internet of the polybags. What I didn't realize is that there were additional alternate builds located on the back of the bags as well. I first caught wind of this about a year ago. However, I was still missing the alternate build for one of the 4. It took a long time for that one to pop up on the internet, but now I can finally say they're all here, so let's get into it. Starting with the new alternate build for 1274 Light Hover, here we have what looks to be a laser drilling station. At least, that's what I first thought upon my initial inspection. This large tunneling laser appears to be controlled by the levers in the rear. However, something about that didn't sit right with me. If this was a small mining laser, then why were the lights facing the wrong way? Then I realized that maybe this laser wasn't a laser at all, and rather a thruster for another insanely unsafe flying Rock Raiders contraption. With Jet seated atop, hanging on for dear life, this strongly reminds me of that new Galaxy Explorer play feature. Fun all around. Curiously enough, this is the only alternate build of the 4 today that has any leftover pieces, with this single clip brick simply not making the cut. Moving on, the new alternate build for 1275 Chain Dozer is honestly somewhat of a redemption of the set in my eyes. In our last outing with these toys, I felt that the Chain Dozer was the least remarkable of the quartet, and its alternate build was even worse. Here though, I find this build to make great use of the limited pieces. Instead of trying, and failing, to build a convincing digging vehicle, this model appears to be a tool transport truck, allowing Bandit to deliver essentials to miners at the dig site. The included radio makes even more sense in this scenario, allowing those in the mines to call up and request a new set of saws. All around, I think this is a big improvement over what had come before with this set. Great stuff. With the new alternate build for 1276 Helicopter Transport, I think I have to confront my apparent tendency for seeing these things as being structures or stationary mining equipment. Just like with the Light Hover, my first instinct was to view this as some sort of bladed digging apparatus. Its steep attack angle and lack of visible propulsion led me to this initially. That being said, maybe it does have a visible source of propulsion. Remember that Rock Raiders features many aquatic alternate builds. Maybe this is some kind of airboat. But airboats don't typically have their fans on the front, do they? Then it dawned on me. This wasn't an airboat, but an airplane. The propeller on the nose, the little wings protruding from either side, the tail fin, and the brick on the bottom emulating the idea of landing gear might make this model one of the most preposterous alternate builds in all of Rock Raiders. But I'm totally here for it. You want to tell me that the Rock Raiders are brave enough to fly not only helicopters, but airplanes deep underground? Sure, whatever, I guess. It's canon now. We're ending with a real doozy and looking at the new alternate build for 1277 Drillcraft. I can't help but lament how the mighty have fallen. In my opinion, Drillcraft was one of the strongest initial sets and boasted a great alternate build last time around. This time, however, it doesn't fare nearly as well. Much like the other models we've looked at today, I was quite confused by this one at first, and honestly, maybe I still am. My initial impression was that Sparks must have to sit like this in order to somehow control this, thing. Upon playing with it more, I pondered the idea that maybe we were actually viewing the back of the contraption on the polybag. Maybe Sparks was supposed to stand and operate it this way. Either way, I'm not sure what it's supposed to do, and these unsupported yellow slope bricks don't inspire confidence. From first to last, the peak is never passed. I'd stick with the other builds on this one for sure. So, there you go, the last of the official Rock Raiders alternate builds. Or at least, the last that I know of. Who knows, maybe we'll all be doing this again in a couple years when someone discovers that there were more alternate builds printed on a Japanese store sign or something like that. Regardless, my overall opinion of the Rock Raiders Kabaya sets only improves every time their utility increases. I already held them in high regard, but this new batch of alternate builds sweetens the deal even further. In closing, I have a little surprise for you. Since my original video on the Kabaya sets predated the invention of the Slugometer, let's whip it out today and compare each set's builds against each other. For the sake of clarity, let's define the main build of each set as the A model, the alternate build on the front of the polybag as the B model, and the build on the back as the C model. Each trio of builds will be compared against each other in isolation to the other sets, hopefully providing us with the best ways to use the pieces included in each kit. We'll start with the light hover. This is a close race, I've gotta say. I feel like all three of these builds have their strengths and weaknesses, and possess relatively similar build qualities. In order to break the deadlock though, I'm going to prioritize which model makes the most sense to me in universe. With that lens, the A model gets 3 slugs, no question. The idea of a flying source of illumination lighting the caves for other vehicles that lack that capacity makes perfect sense to me and actually adds something to the Rock Raiders roster that was missing. On the opposite side of the spectrum, the C model gets 2 slugs from me. While certainly non-essential and adding to the already bloated amount of single-capacity flying vehicles, this build is a lot of fun, and critically features a visible source of propulsion, something that cannot be said for many of its peers in this category. Lastly, the B model is left with a single slug. It's not that the build is bad or anything, but even after all this time, I'm not sure I truly get what they were going for here. If it is just a single-seat flyer, then the C model already has it beat. Regardless, all three of these builds are worthwhile. The Light Hover is just a great little set. Moving on to the Chain Dozer, I'll surprise absolutely no one by giving the B model 1 slug. It's just bad all around, and isn't worth your time adjusting 4 pieces in order to build it. Perhaps more surprisingly, I'm going to award the A model only 2 slugs, as I feel the small digging vehicle role is already being better filled by other contenders. The Chain Dozer is just too meager to adequately compete. It needs a niche to fill. And that's where the C model comes in, serving as a quick and easy way to transport a fresh set of tools to miners hard at work. This build gets my vote of confidence with a score of 3 slugs. Sure, you could just pop some tools in the back of a small transport truck and deliver them that way, but let's be real, your transport trucks are going to be busy picking up ore or errant energy crystals. A more dedicated vehicle can serve this task better. It's not groundbreaking or anything, but given the limitations of the pieces available, I think the C model makes the best use of them. The pieces included in the helicopter transport can be assembled into 3 very different crafts, none of which are all that strong, if I'm honest. The A model is decent, but the tiny propeller betrays the sense of scale here. It would really need proportions closer to the Tunnel Scout if I were to believe it was actually airworthy. 2 slugs. Conversely, the B model actually captures that airboat idea I pitched earlier, and does so quite well. The smaller propeller makes much more sense in this context, and I don't really see this craft competing for space with the Rapid Rider. I'm going to give this build the full 3 slugs as a result. Lastly, the C model, flying an airplane in a cave. Flying an airplane in a cave. Flying an airplane in a 1 slug. The idea that the Rock Raiders would not only have to construct landing pads for their underground helicopters, but runways for their underground airplanes is beyond absurd to me. Just trying to wrap my mind around the logistics of flying an airplane in a cave is making my head spin. Our final set, Drill Craft, might present some of the greatest peaks and valleys of the bunch. I'll get the C model out of the way early. Its confused design only garners a single slug from me. The A and B models are much stronger though. The A model depicts the titular drill craft, featuring digging tools and lamps, but also conspicuously lacking any mode of propulsion. Its boxy nature is also rather unsleek, so I'm only going to award it 2 slugs. That just leaves the B model, and this is one I really enjoy. I find the building techniques used to create these interesting thrusters on the back quite inspiring, and even though it falls into the same tired, single-seat flying vessel category, it does so with a modicum of style. I dig this one. 3 slugs. And there you have it. What? You want me to rank all of the combiner models against each other too? All right. 2 slugs, 1 slug, 2 slugs, 3 slugs, 3 slugs, 2 slugs, 1 slug. Woo! Thanks for watching, everyone. I've been your host, RR Slugger, and I'll see you next time for some more high adventure deep underground.